Joining us now, Harmeet Dillon, the Dillon Law Group managing partner, hence the name association, a board member of the Republican National Lawyers Association, RNC committeewoman for California. Harmeet, good to have you with us. Also joining us, former press secretary to Vice President Mike Pence, Trump 2020 Advisory Board member Mark Lauder. Mark, great to have you here.
Thanks, Lou.
Let's start with the obvious glee of the left, Harmeet. They are thrilled that this nefarious fellow, Roger Stone, has been arrested. Why are they so excited about that?
Well, there's nothing surprising about this, Lou. We've seen it with every person indicted. I mean, if Mother Teresa were a Trump supporter and she were indicted, there would be glee like this on the left.
I do think we can get stipulation that Roger Stone is not Mother Teresa.
No, fair enough, but you see the same level of nasty glee and outrage, no matter who it is, whether they're a, kind of out there wacky character like Roger Stone, or whether it's a young person in their 20s. The glee is there because of the hatred of Donald Trump. It really doesn't matter. It's their steady state. And like the boy who cried wolf, it's just kind of that level of noise. People are really tuning out to it, and it just helps the press's lack of credibility accelerate. But the indictment itself is much of nothing, in my opinion. I'm a trial lawyer, 25 years of practice, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, that's not a crime, and that's not a crime, and if that were a crime, then lawyers would be in jail. And finally, of course, if someone does lie to Congress, that is a crime. But, as we know, the people on the other side, including James Comey, Hillary Clinton, James Clapper, and all, have repeatedly lied to Congress and gotten away with it.
Mark, your thoughts very quickly on that?
This is just another example of how many times can the media jump the shark in 1 week. First it was BuzzFeed, then Covington, now this, and they keep missing the main point was none of these indictments have anything to do with collusion.
Yeah.
We're still for no charges relating to collusion.
Okay, what's the score on President Trump? His announcement that there would be 3 weeks of negotiation and no fulfillment of the condition preceding border wall funding.
I think this resets the table and puts it into President Trump's favor because everyone was consumed with covering the shutdown side of this negotiation, and it really distracted everything. The president now reset the table. Federal workers are going to get paid. Everything's going to go back to normal, and we can actually have a discussion on the president's terms about border security. And we'll see if Democrats, who previously said we won't negotiate unless you reopen the government, if they'll be true to their word. If not, I bet you President Trump has a pen ready to sign the executive order, and he'll build the wall one way or the other.
What if, just what if the conference committee, Harmeet, devolves into, let's go big here, is always the expression in Washington when they can't handle a problem, they make it bigger, and go for comprehensive immigration reform and try to rush through a con job on the American people in 3 weeks. Because that's what it would be, and it would be the architecture of, let me guess, La Raza, the Chamber of Commerce, the Koch brothers, and Wall Street.
Well, I don't think Donald Trump would have been elected by the American people if we believed that he was such a bad deal maker as to fall for something like that. So I personally don't think that will happen. I think that's a non-starter. I think that what he did propose in the last 3 weeks was a good, moderate compromise, but something like that would be out of the question.
Do you agree with Harmeet, Mark?
I think the president wants to make a longer-term deal on immigration because we have fundamental problems. I don't think they're going to rush it through in 3 weeks because it is so detailed. And if they can, we'll see what it looks like. But the president right now is mostly worried about getting that southern border secured, dealing with the humanitarian crisis. We've got a bigger fish to fry when it comes to getting the big immigration thing done. And maybe that's something that's going to take many, many months, not many weeks.
So we all better start praying for that declaration of a national emergency. Do we agree?
I think the president will give Congress time to get it done.
I've got a hard out. Yes or no, Harmeet?
Yes, that would be the better outcome than what you just described earlier.
We're going to have to wait till next week for Mark's answer.